It's great to be with you in here. My name is Jim. I'm the R&D manager for TOPWELL, and today we are going to talk about product development and product design from a customer standpoint. So what's the difference? Usually when we receive the customer requirements for a new product, it usually comes in his own words. I want to welcome our online friends in here. If you have any questions or requirements, just please post it in here or send us an email or post it on our online form on our website, and we will reply you instantly. So back to the product development. Usually we receive the requirements in the customer's words using his own expressions, which usually comes from his own field. So when the customer describes a product, that it has to look beautiful, it has to weigh light and not heavy, it has to be smooth. All these are just descriptive requirements, but we need to translate this into engineering specifications, so our engineering team can start processing these requirements and assessing them, and then once this is done, the customer requirements will become product specifications, which are translated into technical requirements or technical specs of the product. And then the development team will start working with these requirements, so the design would finally fulfill these requirements. And then when the product comes out, it will have all the required features that the customer has asked for, and then this can also be used to plan the quality control aspects and the checkpoints, the checklist that our QC personnel will be using on the production line in order to guarantee that the production is coming out according to what the customer has required. Now, this is a bit easy from outside, but when you think this deeply and when you consider all the requirements that come related to mechanical, electronics, firmware, product performance, user experience, all these has to work together. So by the end of the day, the end product, the final product, would come out exactly as the customer expected it to be, and it will perform exactly the same as how the customer wants it to be. This is a part science and a part an art. To give you an example, so let's say when the customer says, I need the product to be lightweight. So a lightweighted product means that it's not heavy. This is the standard or the initial impact of the requirement. But how do you translate this into numbers? Then we start asking the customer, we need to quantify this requirement to become a certain weight, and then So let's say he will say, okay, I don't need the product to exceed 100 grams. Totally. Okay, perfect. But we will also need a range, which means, let's say plus minus 5% is the acceptable range for the customer. So this means the customer accepts his product to weigh between 95 and 105 grams. That's a big range, okay, especially when you include the casing, when you include the packaging and cartons and the papers and documents and leaflets included inside the product. That was one example of a customer requirement which does not come in numbers, does not come specific enough in order to translate this requirement to become a specification. I would also want to welcome our online friends who are watching us. Please send us your questions, your requirements, and we will be back to you soon with our comments and notes. You can reach us at www.topwelldesign.com and on www.topwellmolding.com. And also, of course, you can just write down in here and our technical team will be back to you soon with an answer or a reply to your questions. So, if we move to the process, most of the time, a customer will approach us with just an idea. He wants a product that solves a certain problem or that satisfies a certain need in his market or in his market niche, which is a very, very small segment through the whole market. And usually the customer will have an initial idea how to fill or how to fulfill this need, and by discussions and by dissecting his explanation or description to the problem, we can find together with the customer exactly if there is a possibility to fill the need that he is targeting with the idea that he is suggesting. If so, then we should have a possible approach in order to move to the next step, which is the proof of concept stage. If not, we would discuss this possibility or this situation with the customer and try to come up with alternative solutions, which every one of them can fulfill the need that the customer wants to cover in case that his original idea would not work. Once we pass this stage, then this is called the ideation stage. And within this stage, we would work with the customer, inspecting and investigating various aspects of his suggested solution in order to reach a concept which should work. It didn't work yet. All this is mental discussions with customer. They are just most probably it's deeply technical discussions until we find a concept of operation that sounds to be successful in addressing the customer's needs. And once we pass this stage, then we can move to the next step. The next step is called proof of concept stage. In this proof of concept stage, it's time to just make a very simple and direct to the point mock-up or prototype or test circuit, and then we don't care about the size, we don't care about how the outlook, how does it look like. It's usually done on top of a bench or just by 3D printing some parts, prototyping some very quick PCBs. Most of the time we would also either use very quick MCUs, microcontrollers, just to test the idea. And usually if there is a certain actuator or there is a certain transducer in the solution, then we just focus on this. We need to validate if the solution that we and the customer are both suggesting, we need to validate if this solution will effectively fulfill the customer's need. And then by taking some measurements, by listing down some performance measures and indicators, this would give us an idea. Number one, if this solution looks promising or not. Number two, if it looks promising, is it promising enough? Is the solution bulletproof, or it still needs some improvements in order to rely on it and embed it inside a certain or a single product?